Hello, Wanda, can you hear me? Hello. Let me close all my tabs so that the internet is solid. So I'll start from scratch as you can see. Wanda, can you hear me? Wanda, I'm coming. Let me work on the link. Let me share the link directly from the meeting details. How do I share this link? How do I get the link to share? I'm coming. Let me check here. How do I share this link automatically? Coming. It's going to be daunting. So I've shared it directly from Teams again. Kindly check for me. So I've sent it to our page. Ferdinand, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah, my share link need be why the one
okay. Okay. Mede sa long one and answer what the full
a long one, but just that this one is
okay.
hyperlink. So that if they click now, they join straight.
Okay. Like plenty no fit join, you can start the text now they come.
All right.
Hey, what's happening? It seems they are not able to join.
How come you're able to join, but you're not able to join? Interesting.
I just don't know. I'm coming. I'm sending the links again.
Send the one I recently sent now. That you are invited to data clearing that one.
Yeah, I'm sending that one. Today being Palm Sunday, don't you think 6 is too early? I think I do move for phone.
Don't worry, I'm recording. So when we are done, I might send a link to the video to Wanda so that he uploads.
Yeah, sure.
Let's give them some few minutes for them to join. When it's 6:12 or 6:30.
Okay. I'm still sharing, so it's just a pop-up at the moment. Have they started joining? Oh, okay.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Those who are joining, we'll start very soon. We are still waiting for the others to join. So hopefully, when it's 6:12, we'll start for everyone to have the session. Let's start also testing our friends who want to join that they come on board because we don't want it to be too long. So please, and you're all welcome once again.
Nda mama shi na obo di wi ama. And the woman is not going to really one day. We are more, we share the life.
Hello, good evening, everyone. And to those who recently joined, we are still waiting for the others to join before we begin the session. So let's wait some 1 or 2 minutes for the others to join. While we also work on the link for those who are still having challenges, so that when it's latest by 6:15, we can begin the session. All right, good evening, everyone. So we are starting the session. We'd like to welcome all of you to the part two or second webinar as part of our monthly initiative to get us used or to introduce us to the field of data science, which we call the data science nuggets. For the past few weeks, you'd realize that every day we post content about something about data science, introduction, some key concepts. I think as you have been following, the data science wing of UGASS have been quite consistent with showing the content. As part of our initiatives, every weekend, that's on the Saturday evening or Sunday evening, sorry, at 6 p.m., we do our best to have a webinar or a session to let people get a hands-on a grasp a key concept or something about data science. We started last week where we just had a brief intro into what data science was about, and our second speaker spoke to us about data storytelling. We are here again this week. This week, we are having a hands-on session. We are going to look at data cleaning and manipulation. But before that, we would want to have a brief intro to what Jupyter Notebook is, since that's the simple tool we'll be using for our work today. I believe most of us can hear me. Please, if you can hear me, let me see some reactions. Can I be heard? Or you can. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Now, so that's what we have been doing. Today, I can't look at Jupyter Notebooks. And before our session, we have sent to the WhatsApp group the data set for today's session. Yesterday, we sent some brief links on how to go about these things, Python setting up. But if you haven't, don't worry. I'll walk us through briefly what this whole thing is about before we zoom in. So we begin. Today, we are going to look at Jupyter Notebooks and some small data cleaning we are going to be doing. I would like to introduce Jupyter Notebooks first. I think I had a workshop on this, so please permit me to just reuse the small slides I did for my project group when I was teaching them this how to use this tool. Now, for data scientists or data analysts, the programming environment we use is quite different. Our preferred programming environment is quite different from what normal other IT professionals might use. So, what a software engineer might be different. Some would prefer to use VS Code, others use VI and different code editors. But for us as data analysts or data scientists or data professionals, most of us prefer to use Jupyter Notebooks. Now, what makes Jupyter Notebooks unique is that with Jupyter Notebooks, we are able to see the result of each command we do when we run them. And Jupyter Notebook is able to support different programming languages from Python, R, and Julia. It has some key features such as code execution, visualization, and markdown. So it makes our work very, very easier. I'll share my screen in a few minutes and take us through how we can start our own from scratch so that we all see, since this is a hands-on session. Now, these are all the things that make Jupyter Notebook unique. And for us as data professionals, this is the best option we have. Now, for Jupyter Notebooks, Jupyter Notebooks came as a result of people's research. So actually, it was a scientific research project where they were looking for a to merge all these three. So if you see from the name Jupyter, actually a breakdown of three names. So it's from three programming languages: Julia, Python, and R, the R programming language. So Jupyter, so Julia, Python, and R. Now, for Julia, it's a programming language which the scientists use, and we are able to write Python and both R codes in it. Now, what's the easiest way you can get Python Jupyter to use? It's through Anaconda. So Anaconda is an open source distribution. So when you go on the internet, let me start sharing my screen from here. And when you open any web browser and you search for Anaconda, so you download Anaconda distribution. When you download, it's a software which comes with all these different packages, different statistical softwares are in it. And one of the softwares in it is so the software is there. When you want it's from Anaconda, you start and you are able to run. It's not compulsory for Anaconda. People also use different to also run and but for the best thing or the easiest way is just to download Anaconda. Now, in a few minutes, I'll stop sharing this slide and I'll share my screen so that I start from scratch for everybody to see. Please, can my screen be seen? If you can see my screen, kindly let me know. Somebody is saying my line is breaking. Please, is it for only that person, or for the rest of us we still can't hear? Which you can type in the chat so that I get to understand the whole. All right. And please, can you see my screen too? Kindly let me know if my screen can be seen. All right. I think my screen can be seen. Okay. Thank you very much. Now, the first thing is I will show us how to get Anaconda. Just briefly, I'll just walk us through that website briefly before I go to Jupyter Notebook. So when you open your normal browser, you just search Anaconda download. So I want to download Anaconda. So Anaconda. So you see their website. The first website here is the Anaconda distribution website. So when you click here, it will ask you to provide your email. Then when you add the email, it gives you a link to install the package, and you are done installing Anaconda for yourself. I hope we are all clear with that. Please, if you are clear, kindly let me know. All right. Now, that's the first aspect. So we know how to get Anaconda for ourselves. So when the software comes, it comes in a guideline and you install it for yourself. That's the first thing. Now, for me, or for my side, I've installed my Anaconda already. So now, how do I start my Jupyter Notebook? I come to command prompts and I search, or I come to my and I search for Anaconda prompt. Sorry, so Anaconda prompt. So you see, so for my start button, I search Anaconda prompt. So it is actually a specialized command prompt which Anaconda has, or which Anaconda uses. So when you start, you see something like this, just a black user interface. So you see now when you see the black interface, you just type Jupyter Notebook. So I'll type Jupyter Notebook. So the moment I type Jupyter Notebook, it takes some time for the grade. So when it starts, great. So this is Jupyter. So I've started my Jupyter interface. Now, Jupyter Notebooks runs on web browsers. I chose Chrome to be my default web browser. So you see that it starts on Chrome. Somebody can choose Edge and it starts from Edge, but I prefer to use Chrome. Now, how it works is when you are able to view your files, Jupyter Notebooks to allow you to view your files the same way. Just that for the files, you can see the content and you can only open Jupyter Notebooks if the file is a Jupyter Notebook file. You can only open Jupyter Notebooks only if the file is a Jupyter Notebook file. So that is it. Now let's set up our environment for the work we are going to be doing today. So I would open, let's say, let me come here. So this is my notebook we'll be using today. I'll come to desktop. Let's say I create a folder so that I put everything I want here. So new folder, then I call it workshop. So I put the Jupyter Notebook file I need here. Then the data sets. So if you'd realize, we sent the data sets to the WhatsApp group, the data science nuggets WhatsApp group. So when you go there, you see it. Then I come and paste the file, the data sets to here. So if you come here, you see that on your local drive or your local disk all the folders there is what Jupyter Notebooks also open for you here. So now you see desktop is here. And when I open desktop, I'm able to see the folder I just created, workshop. Then everything I need is actually here too. So I'll double click here and it opens our Jupyter Notebook. Please, after this session, I hope we are all okay before I continue. If there's any question, you can feel free to ask before we get into the session for today. Deep dive into the session. Please, are we all on the same page? Those who are also following along, please, are we on the same page? Because I'm coming to begin now. All right. So today, this is the notebook we are going to be using for the session. After the session, I'll share with you so that you're able to see. So I generated a small ChatGPT photo on today's workshop before we begin. So good evening, everyone, and another welcome to everyone who has just joined or those of us who have been with me from the beginning of the session. Now, today we are coming to look at data cleaning and manipulation. And since it's a hands-on session, we are going to be using a real data set. We are going to be doing the real data cleaning for everybody to see how it is. Now, this is an initiative by the data science wing of UGASS, and I'm your facilitator for this session. I don't want to talk too much about myself, but this is a brief intro about me. So I'm Elvis. I'm Nkrumah. I'm a final year computer science and statistics student at the University of Ghana. I'm a researcher and grant intern at NSB Ghana, a market and research analyst, and I'm quite active on social media, sharing data science stuff and my Tableau stuff and a lot of things. So I'm an ambassador for a data visualization company, and I create awareness about it. That is it, by the way. Today's workshop is a hands-on workshop. We have said that. Now we are going to be looking at a data set. I've sent a data set we have sent it to the WhatsApp group of the Nuggets page, so you can check and see an overview of how the whole data set is. Now, this data set is a student survey data, so it's a mock data which I just generated. So it supposedly shows responses from University of Ghana students, so that we can use it to simulate how real-world data is collected on academic performance, lifestyle habits, and engagement on campus. So this is a practical way for us to get a hands-on on how to do our data cleaning, exploration, and manipulation. Now, our data set has key variables. Data set has variables which tell us about the student identity. So we have a column for student ID, student name, email, phone number, and information about the academic staff too. So we have program, their level, GPA, whether they are eligible for graduation, and their attendance rates. Then lifestyle and study habits. So we have the number of hours the students sleep, the number of hours students study, that's the study hours. Which clubs are they a member of at the university? So club membership, part-time job, are they doing any part-time job? How many hours does it take for them to move to school? That's the commute time to and fro. Demographics, their age and their gender. Then we are going to be doing some data analysis and data cleaning, transforming variables and cleaning messy data, missing values, and all those things. Before I start my session, are we all on the same page? Are we on the same page? I didn't hear. Please, let's be interactive so that I can move forward and know how we are doing.
Yes, please. We're on the same page.
All right. Thank you very much. Now we are going to be doing some small data manipulation. But for somebody who is new to this field, all these things you are seeing, you don't understand, don't worry. If I'm going too fast, just let me know. But I'll do my best possibly to break down everything for all of us to understand. Now, as when it comes to the programming side of I want us to understand that for Python, the programming language called Python, it is one of the best we use for data analysis because it makes our work simpler. We are able to use certain libraries which Python has already built for us. And for the different type of tasks you want to do, there are 1 or 2 libraries you can combine which can make your tasks easier. So now, what is a library? Somebody be asking, what is library Elvis is speaking about? So like any normal individual, when you are going to work, you have tools you use to work. So the doctors, they have what they use, masons, carpenters, lecturers, they have their laptop and their marker and what they use. So the library is like a whole package containing all the tools you use, include tools, right? And we are able to pick functions. When I say functions, I mean actions or activities which we can do using the same tool. So, for example, carpenter, if he has a hammer, he can use it to hit a nail. Same way, when it comes to our programming language too, Python has different libraries, and in the libraries, there are functions. There are functions which help us take certain decisions or certain actions. Now, for our session today, we'll be using the pandas library or the pandas package. For those who are new to this, so pandas is a library will help us in data manipulation. Pandas, you hear of NumPy, people see but today we'll just have a brief sneak of how these types what they entail. Now, so before we work, before a carpenter goes to work, before a doctor goes to work, they have to get their tools ready. So before we work with our data, we have to load our package. We have to load our tools, including all the functions and the activities. So we are going to be using pandas, and for Jupyter Notebooks, we are able to run our Python code in each cell because we are using the Python kernel here. I'll go over this side again so that we understand. So we are able to use each cell of the Jupyter Notebook. So these are the cells. Let me intentionally remove this so that we can see. So you see there are some cells here. So I click on this cell, this cell. So these are the cells. So when we run something here, it follows in the same order. So what you run first, you see a number will come near the cell. So when I run this, you see when it's done running, a number will come near that cell. So number 1. So this is the first cell I've run. When I come down, you see the second cell I've run. When I come down again, you see the cells and so on and so forth. Now, before we even continue, I just want us to walk through the Jupyter Notebook interface so that we are all on the same page. Now, when it comes to the cells, that's where your code goes to. Then when you run the code, what comes under the cells is the output. So you see, I've imported the package we are using, pandas. And you can choose not to bring this. The AS is an alias. So import pandas as PD. So that anywhere you call the package, instead of you spelling the whole pandas again, you just write PD. Then you're calling pandas. So that's why we write the alias or the AS there. So import pandas as PD. Then pandas, we want to read a CSV. The file data set is a CSV. CSV means comma files. It's like a normal Excel file, just that the data individual points are separated by commas. So we have done the loading. Now, when we run something, the output comes below, and Python has told us that, okay, so we already have all these packages. The requirement is already satisfied, and it's giving us a thumbs up. So this is the cell. You want to add the notebook. Let me send this here. So you see a class, the cell above. When you do this, you can move the cell up below. You can duplicate this, move the cell up below, and so on and so forth. You can save the work and everything. So that's just a brief intro. Now you realize that I have written some words aside the code I have. So it's a feature we call markdown. So on Jupyter Notebook, when you mark down, sometimes as data scientists, we want people to understand the work we are doing. So you want to write some words inside. So it's a normal cell, like a normal cell we also have, like the normal cell. Just that the type of cell here is not a code, it's a markdown. So I've used some special identifiers here, double hash to indicate that it's a type 2, it's a heading 2. So it's a heading word. So the word should be a heading. When I run it, you see that it becomes a word which people can see boldly. The code is only for Python code. Then a markdown is when you want people to get the words. Please, are we on the same page before we continue? If you are not getting anything, kindly let me know before with the rest we are doing. If I've said something you didn't hear clearly, you need any clarification, please feel free to unmute to let me know before we continue. If you're on the same page, let me see some reactions, some thumbs up that I know we are all here. All right, so we continue. Now we have loaded the data set. If you check here, you see there's a quote showing a name. Now before you run this command or before you we run this, one thing I have to state that where you create your Jupyter notebook, at that same place, your data set should be there for starters, because it makes your work easier. Jupyter Notebook references where your data is from the initial point. So if I come here, let me open my folder here. See desktop, this is the workshop folder we are having here. So see the data set and the notebook is at the same place. So if it's at the same place, when you run the Jupyter and the function, the Python function, pandas.read CSV, you're telling him to read the CSV which is in the file where the folder is. It's not so important to do this, but to enable easy search of where your data is, just put it in the same folder where your data set is, then you can reference easier. Aside that, if the data was at a different site, you would have to come and tell Jupyter Notebook where the data is. For example, if my data set is here, I have to come to the top here and come and look for the link on my disk where the data is and come and type. So if it's on my C drive, C/Elvis/ the name of the folder / where the data set is. That's how it's able to reference. So we have loaded our data. Now we are going to be using functions, a lot of them. And I'll do my best to explain so that we all get a grasp onto what the functions are and what they mean. We have loaded the data set into something we call a data frame. So a data frame is a tabular structure. I think we sent some content on it. So our data is mostly in forms of tables, and Python calls special tabular data frames. So in the normal way we have our Excel, a table has what? Columns and rows. So the data frames give us a similar tabular structure of our data. We'll run it very soon so that we all see how it really is. So we are going to be using the first function. So we are telling Python, okay, so the data frame, we want to see the head. Now, when we say the head, it means give us the first 5 rows. We want to see a snapshot of what our data is looking like. So this is our data set. So our student survey data, we collected data on student ID, name. So this is AC Nkrumah, Akosia and Anan, Akosia Nkrumah, Kwame Asari, AC Boateng, their emails, how old the students are, their gender. Now, observe the data carefully. See the gender, male, female, F, other. You're seeing all these things. level. So is the person level 100, 200, 300, the program they are studying, mathematics, actuarial science, mathematics, like this. There are different programs, but for now, the first 5 rules, this is what we are seeing. Sleep hours. So we have 9 sleep hours average per week. So they sleep 9 hours. So when you see NA, the NAN, so it's a null value. So it means that place the person didn't indicate. Let's say on the survey form, the person didn't write the number of hours they sleep. He said, oh, maybe I don't know. So the person didn't fail. So 5 hours, 6 hours, then study hours. So this one is 7 hours, 2 hours, 2 hours, and it goes down. Attendance rate. So what's the percentage? How well or how frequently do they come to class? What clubs are they part of? Grammar club, coding club, debates. Any means the person didn't fail. Can they graduate? Yes, no, no, no. Then the person's phone number is the last column. Now somebody will ask that what if I want to see the whole data set? So when you come to the next cell, you just type df. So we have called our data frame a pd.read.csv. So the data set is there. So when we run this, you see the whole data set. You see there are more people down there. There's the last 5 too. So statistics student, female, male, and it goes down. Now when you check here, you see there's 200 rows times 14 columns. So it means that our data set has 200 rows and 14 columns, meaning that 200 people filled the form or the survey. Then they were asked questions on 14 parameters or indicators or questions or 14 different metrics. At this point, please, are we on the same page? Before I continue, if there's anything you need clarification, kindly you can unmute and speak, or you can send a message in the chat so that I know where we are. So this is our whole data set. So this is our whole data set. I don't know. Let me check in terms of our responses. Please, if you have any concern or you're not getting anything, kindly let me know before we proceed. We are building upon what we are doing. So please feel free to just send a message in the chat or something like that. And Mr. Wonder, please you can speak.
Okay, and please, can you hear me?
Yeah, you can be heard.
Hello. Yeah. So, first of all, I also want to welcome everybody present here. The thing is that the target audience for this program is totally beginners. So, um, anybody here, we are not considering you as an advanced programmer or anything. That's why we are trying to take the lowest form of it and explain things to that core. So this session is actually supposed to be very interactive. Oh, why is maybe listening this way? Why is that way? I don't want us to just join the session and then at the end of the day, you can't actually do anything out of what you've studied today. Maybe you don't understand the code. Why did you do let's say the data frame dot head and then you brought brackets there? Can you just leave it that way? I think you should be asking those questions. But if you understand, that's fine. But anything that just crosses your mind, try and ask all those questions and let's clarify. Okay, I believe that if you do some of these things, it really helps because programming on your own solely, it becomes boring sometimes. But if you get some of these guidance, I believe it helps. So that's the little I want to chip in.
All right. Yeah, very basic. So please let's get started. If you have any concern, kindly let me know. Now we are going to the second step. Before I continue, let me just wrap up everything we have done so far. So far, we have looked at what Anaconda is, what Jupyter is, look a brief intro into the interface. Jupyter allows us to write code in something we call notebooks. Now in the notebooks, we have chosen a Python kernel. It means all our code is in Python. Then we have loaded our data. I said that to make your data loading easy, just create a folder with where the data set is and then reference, and it makes it easy. I made us understand that for us to begin our work as analysts, we have tools we use. We have packages, and for Python, the package we'll be using for our data cleaning today is pandas. When we go down, we'll be using different packages to do some small visualizations. So we'll see how it is. But for now, this is just a brief intro of how our data set is looking like. Aside that, I mentioned that we have markdown cells. So you see that I've written some words which are looking quite different from the code. So step one, those type of things, they are markdown cells. It's a normal cell, just that it's not for code, it's for writing. So that people who are not technical can understand the work we do as analysts. Then I made us understand that for the packages, they have functions, they have methods. So for the functions and the methods, they are the actions we do. So the data, we want to see the data frame. We want to see the first 5 rows. We call the head method or the head function to see it. Then data frame, so the DF, we assign data frame to the whole data set we are watching. So we call it to see the whole data, the whole data set. We are made to understand that the data set has 200 rows and 14 columns. So that means that 200 students fill this form and they were asked questions on 14 different things for which they answered. Up to this point, I'm on the same page. Now, after seeing how this data looks like, we want to understand the data. We want to see how this whole data is looking like. And one of the things we do is that we make people understand even how the data frame works. So the data frame is like a table. So it has like a row and a column. Now the shape is what makes us know the size of the data we are looking at. So when I run the data frame.shape, it shows us that there are 200 rows. So you can see from here, 200,14. So it means 200 rows and 14 columns. I hit it again. Sometimes we want to see how many or how big our data is. For our work today, our data set is small, so it's quite easier. As analysts, sometimes you work with big data which has large size. So we want to see how the data is looking like. And this is one of the commands that help us understand the data. So shape. The shape tells us the number of rows, comma, the number of columns the data frame has. So our data frame, which is on the student survey data, has 200 rows and 14 columns. Now in our next cell, we want to check information about the data set. So I explain this column this produce very soon. So when we run the cell, there is information down. So it's telling us we have run the Python, the pandas Python command. Now range index makes us know that there are 200 entries. It means that to confirm what we said, that 200 people filled the form or 200 responses were gotten. Now, we are going to take each column and describe it or get information about it in terms of the content in the column. So you see column, student ID, name, email, age, gender, level, goes down to phone. So 14 total columns. I think we all get it. Now, the not now count means that for that column, how many entries there are not empty. I'm taking it again. So the not now count, this part, shows us the number of entries in a particular column that are not empty. So for the student IDs, all the 200 student IDs we collected, none of them was, there was none which was empty. So all the 200 were filled. So you see name to all the 200 were filled. Now when it comes to email, it means that only 189 students provided their emails for the data. So that means that there is 11 or there are 11 people who didn't provide their data. So anywhere you see 200, that means that place, all the entries were filled. And there's a significant gap here when it comes to sleep hours. 170 students indicated their sleep hours, meaning that 30 people didn't indicate their sleep hours in the form. That is one side of it. It goes down and it goes down. Now, the D type is the data type of the data frame, or in terms of the particular columns. So, student ID, objects. When we say objects, it can be text or a mixture of text and symbols. So, name, test. So, it's a mixture of text and symbols. Email, people's email. So, the data type is object. When you see int, it means that at that side, the numbers that are integers. You all believe that human age, our age is always a whole number, or it's always an integer. So integer 64, so that's in 64. Gender, object is a text, so male or female. Object for program, it goes down to, you see float. Now, the float 64 is a data type, or floats are data type, which are decimals. So decimals in nature, decimals in nature. You can change an int to floats. Yeah, but float is basically decimals. So sleep hours like this, somebody can sleep 5.5 hours, 5.5, 2.5, those type of things. So attendance rate, sleep hours, GPA. The students' GPA is terms of decimals. So people can have decimals, and it makes them understand that the data type for it is float. Now, we run another command called describe. As statistics students, most of us know descriptive statistics. So when we say describe, what do? We want to have, or want to see, do a simple exploratory data analysis to see what is in our data. So descriptives. It's not by force to include all, but you can remove it and still run it.
Okay, Elvis.
Now, yep.
Please, I have a question.
All right.
Yeah, so with the .info section, so if you have, let's say, a variable which contains integers, and let's say it has maybe the shape contains about maybe 200 rows, and there's only one float inside, while the remaining are all integers. Will this still describe the entire thing as float or integer?
Great. That's a great question. Basically, I think it converts based on what most of the data sets is looking like. So if most of them are having if most of them are having int, I think. But to confirm, I believe sometimes the data types are not really clarified. Some don't.
Okay.
If the data is messy, they don't really clarify the type of data it is. It can be left as a null or something. But for most of
Okay.
the times, it just uses what majority of the data is about. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Welcome. Even with that, we'll see when we go further, you see that even for some columns, the data set is not necessarily an integer. They are spaces, but it was still reading them as integer. So we'll go down on that one.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Great question too. Now, I'm talking to my favorite statistics student. So I think most of these descriptives, we know them. And when we see count, it means that for that column, how many entries are there? I think I spoke about it. Then unique, how many of them are unique? When we say unique, it is not having the same thing. Okay, let me say it in another word. So if we have student ID, my student ID is unique from Wonder's own, unique from Ferdinand's own. So we'll not have the same student ID. In a case where two people it groups it in terms of common, this is in terms of the common themes. So if my ID is the same as Wonders, it will not duplicate, it will not count it twice, it will count it as one. So there's a unique ID here. So it's 10, let's say 1095. 1095. All the two people have 1095. All of us to count it for 1095. It means it looks at the different names we have, not the number of times the name is repeated. So it just takes the unique ones, the different names, the different varieties we have. So that is it. So that means that the gender, although we have male and female, at our gender column, we are seeing 6 different types of gender which was indicated. Because some people wrote M, people wrote F, people wrote female, people wrote male. So you are seeing the distinctions there. People wrote other, people didn't also fail. So those are the 6 different responses we got there. Program 2, it means we have 5 different programs here. Computer science, actuarial science, statistics, and different things. So it goes on and it goes on. Now when it's NaN, it makes us understand that there are several varieties. So for some of them too, I think, let me check. So for some of them, there are several varieties because for the GPA, most of the individual GPAs differ. So there are a lot of variations. Then when it comes to attendance rate, some of them didn't indicate attendance, and it goes on. There are 6 different student clubs, and it goes on to the top. The top is the first row. What are we seeing there? First row, the entry there. What are we seeing? So that is it. Frequency for that particular column. How many times is that particular column repeated in the, like how many times is the particular column in the data set? So it's 1 and it goes on. So mean, standard deviation, minimum. So the smallest value there. In case of numeric data, then 25% means the first quartile. I believe we all get it. 50% is the second quartile or the 50th percentile. 75% the third quartile. Maximum is for the highest number there. And if you realize, you see that here there's NaN, because for the student IDs in industry we don't use
the laptop remember. Hey, noise.
All right, I think there was a distraction, but I've muted the person. All right, so if you realize, you see that some parts are NaN, that means there are now values there because they are not available. They are not available because for student ID, all these are numbers. IDs don't make, like, they don't make sense, or they are not used in industry for anything. We don't add student ID. We don't add a multiply student ID. We don't use it for anything special. So in industry, we see IDs, like we mark them as integers or as strings, as strings or objects, because we don't do any computations with them. Name to objects. So if the thing is categorical, if it's words, we can't find standard deviation for words. We can't find mean for words. We can't find 50th percentile and all those things. That is why for those sections, they are NaN. So email like this, we can't find the 50th percentile for email. Age, we can because it's numeric. Gender, we can't. That is what is accounted for some of the NaN we are having in the descriptive statistics of our data. At this point, are we on the same page? Are we on the same page? If we have any questions, any concern at this point, you can feel free to unmute and let me know. The next 2 minutes, you can let me know if there's anything you're not understanding. If there's any part you want me to go over again, you can go over that section, then we can continue. All right, I think we don't. Please, if you are still having any, you can press in the chat. I'll check if you have any challenge and get back to you. But please, let's ask questions so that I know where we are. Now, after we have gotten a brief introduction of how the data is looking like, we understand our data now, we understand the columns. We want to begin the process of cleaning. The main theme of our workshop today, we want to do the data cleaning, we want to do the manipulation, we want to, people call it data wrangling, so we are going to do it. Now, their dirty data. When we say dirty data, problems we have in data. Now, I'll rush through some of the major problems. Then for this data set, would rectify those problems bit by bit so that we can all understand it. Now, the first problem, inconsistent column names. Now, sometimes you can get a data which the column names are not separated by spaces. So instead of student ID, there can be student space ID. There can be, let's say, longer names, but you want to make the names standard. You want to keep the names simple. You want to keep the names uniform. So first, we can fix columns which don't have nice names. Now, to do this, we use functions. So, our normal Python, we do functions so that people get it. So df.columns is saying that we are creating a variable called, okay, it's not actually a variable. We are actually saying that in our data frames, all the columns dot string. So all the columns change their column names to strings. Strings means test. Strip it. When we say strip, there can be spaces between. So let's say instead of student ID, the person he brought 2 spaces before typing student ID. So strip removes all the unnecessary spaces from the names of the columns. Then remove it, make the column names lower. Then anywhere there is space between 2 names, for example, let's say if there was sleep hours, there was no underscore here. Replace that space with underscore. I take it again. Fixing the inconsistent column names. Sometimes our data set might not have uniform column names. Longer names, different names, all of them are in caps, some of them are in small letters. We want to make it uniform. We want to make our data nice. We want to make our data easy to understand when somebody takes it. First, all the columns, we are telling Python, the data frame, the columns, make it consistent for us. How do you make it consistent? The data frames columns, remove all the unnecessary spacing before and after the names of the columns. Change all the column names to lower letters or lowercase, as we say it in English. Then for the column names which are column having 2 names, remove the space between them and make it underscore. We do this so that I'll explain this one more, but we do this so that when we are using the data frame for our computations, it is easier to do the referencing. Before I continue, if you have any question, you can ask. Yeah, Evans, you can ask your question.
Yeah, yes, sir. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Sir, please, thanks for the opportunity. Sir, please, I didn't know we have this lecture today, so I just joined. I want to ask if there is any recording for us after the lecture, sir.
Yes, please. Please, our session is being recorded.
Oh, okay, sir. All right, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
All right.
You're welcome, sir. Yes, sir.
So now, if you follow, you realize that after running this command, the student ID, which was capital S ID, all these type of things. You see, the GPA, all here was caps. Here, first one is caps. The rest are lower. First letter is caps, the rest are lower. We have changed it. So now all the column names are what? Lowercase now. If you'd observe, let me bring the meeting. So now all the column names are lowercase. It's now uniform now. We have removed all the spaces which were before and after some of the names. The places which had double names between them, we have brought underscores so that it's easier. That's how to work with dirty data, some of the dirty data. So some of the problems may be that the columns have names which are not consistent. So we fix them by doing this. You can also use your normal way, but preferably this is how we make it easier for us. Now, sometimes the second problem we may face is duplicate entries. So duplicate means that, let's say it's a survey data we have. You don't know, mistakenly you fill the Google form twice. So somebody can even fill it more than 5 times. Or unique record for each individual. We need unique responses from everyone. Elvis cannot fill the form and he's filling it 5 times and we are using it to do our analysis. It doesn't make our analysis valid. It doesn't make it reliable. Elvis should have his record 1. Wanda should have his record. Ferdinand, everyone's record should be unique. And so sometimes we want, and so most at times, let me not use sometimes, we want to remove the duplicates in our data. Now, to achieve this, we go to our two package. What are we using? It's a data frame. It's a pandas data frame. What method or what function are we using? Duplicated. Now, before I even run this, let me do the first one without duplicated so that we see how it is. So data frame dot duplicated. So there's a function. Now, let's run this. When we run this, anywhere there is false, it means that there is no duplicate for that entry. So for all the 200 names, 200 records we have, there is no entered twice well. So for that particular record, the person wrote the same name, same ID, same hobby, same GPA, same, it means it's the same person. If all the columns for you is the same, it means it's the same person because there's a unique and your student ID is unique. So we cannot have plenty people having the same student ID. It's unique. So it helps us in knowing how to remove the duplicate. Anywhere there's false, it means that there's no duplicate there. And you can see from down there, we can see. Now, the next command here, we want to add all we want to find the sum of the duplicates in our data. So how many duplicates do we have in our data? So it's a normal duplicated dot. You see there's a dot sum there. So you can sum it. Now, this is just one way I've written it. Somebody can do, okay, so duplicated data. Somebody can create a variable called duplicated data, assign it to the duplicated data. So somebody will do this. Then the person who creates another cell, right? The cell under this. Now the person will come and do the same variable we have created, duplicated data. Find the sum. So sum all the duplicates. You see here 0. There's no duplicate in it. What I've done here, broken into 2. So with this, I think we all understand how the command works. So please, I'm going over again. There are problems we have with our data, dirty data. We said first that the first problem will be that the column names are not consistent. So we made our columns name consistent. Now, the second thing, there can be cases where there is duplicate. So somebody has twice. We know that everybody has a unique student ID. So where in a case where we have duplicates for a particular data, it means that somebody filled the form more than once. And so we rectify it. And that's what makes our data cleaning easier. Now, we have seen a number of duplicate values here, 0. Let's say for your 6 duplicates, how do you do it? So you run the next command in case there was duplicates. So we assign the command to the data frame again. So it means we are refreshing the data frame with the corrections we have made. So if we run data frame.duplicates, it means that drop duplicates. It means that remove all the duplicate values. Drop duplicates. That's the function. Drop duplicates. Now, df, when we run our data frame again, for this data, they are not duplicates. But if there was, when we run the data frame again, you can see the number of duplicates being removed. So you see your unique data once again. Are we all on the same page before we go to the next common data type, the data problem or data data? If you have any question, you can ask. Let me check the chat in case there's any question. So please, anyone. feel free to ask your question. If you are having any challenge, anything you want to clarify in terms of your data, please feel free to ask.
Okay, Elvis.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I have a question that let's assume, I mean, it's not common that the columns will also be duplicated, but let's just assume maybe by mistake the column is duplicated. Is there a way you can specify the axis from which the drop duplicate function should work?
All right.
Or maybe, or
Again.
that one you can just loop. Do you have to just loop through the columns and then just drop it, or
Yeah. So
I want to know if there is a way you can specify the axis from which the drop duplicate should work.
yes. So most of the times it's general, but you can see the data frame you can iterate to do it. So you can run a loop to look for where the duplicate and you drop them. Wanda, are you okay with that?
Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
All right.
Thanks.
Thank you. All right, so that's it. Now we are going to our next type of data. Now, some of the problems we have with our data is that sometimes they are missing values. Now, in our context, our data is student survey data. So when we say a value is missing, what do we mean? It means that the person didn't answer that question or didn't fill that form, that particular part of the form they were supposed to fill. For example, we asked them question about their hobbies. Some people didn't fill question about their hobbies. So you can write a command to fill the places which are empty. If it is numerical data, you can fill with, let's say, the average. You have different ways of filling with filling empty spaces when it's numeric data, or when it's categorical data. I say categorical. If it's test, for example, hobbies. If some people don't fill their hobbies, it's not compulsory to drop those people. Sometimes the analysis you are doing, when it comes to hobbies, it's not really important. It's not mandatory information you need. So it's not something you'd want to delete. People can choose to delete it, fine. But in a case where that particular column is not something you need so much in your data, you can choose to leave those places still empty because you'll not be using it for any analysis. But if say you are doing a report, you want to show the number of students, student favorite hobbies, let's say top 3, you'd want to remove the duplicate so that the now value so that is easier. You get it. So that is it for that. Now, first we check for the now values. Let me break this down for us to get it. So I'll try to break down most of the Python functions we are using so that we all get what is happening here. Here we want to check for missing values. I mentioned at the beginning that we call the empty or missing values null values. Now, like NULL, like 0, like now, like the person didn't do anything. 0 is a number, but now means the person didn't fill. So instead of me running this function, data frame dot is now dot sum, I want us to break it down into steps for us to get to data frame dot is now. So we run this. So it shows places which have now values. Now, when the value there is now, you see true. Then we check phone number for 99 and 98. True. That means that place is empty. But if there's something there, it is what? False. So I hope we are all clear with that. Now, when we add the sum function to it, it means for each column, add all the number of null values and tell us. So for student ID, there's no null value there. Name, there's no empty value or null value. Email, there are 11 empty emails or 11 places where students didn't indicate their emails. So it goes on 0, 0, 0, 0, sleep hours. So there are 30 places indicate. Study hours, same. It goes down to phone number. Now, let's say we have empty data. For numeric columns, when I say numeric, places which are either integers or floats. So let's say sleep hours. Sleep hours. You can choose to fill the empty places with something. Now, take course in 7. Where you learn about how to work with these missing values. We have different techniques. Even students in the master's level, they have different where there are now values. So which numeric column are we using? Sleep hours. Sleep hours. So we are saying for the sleep hours, rewrite the column again. Fill. So the function here is fill any. So fill the now or fill the not available any. The not available values with the mean of the column. So the data frame in quotes. When you see the square bracket, it means that the data frame, we are looking at a particular column. So the column name is what is in the quotes. So if we want to call that column, find the mean of the column, replace with the mean of the column. That's why you see dot mean. But we calling the column is the square bracket with the quote of the name of the column. So that is how it is. So we tell Python to do this again. Then we want to see how our data is looking like now. So let's see the first 5 rows first before we look at the whole data set. So now here. So check sleep hours. So you see that for this first Nkrumah, their sleep hours is the same value. So that means that place was empty. And we have replaced it with the average of the column, which is the 6.958842. Now, for us to get a whole clear picture, let me run us through the whole data frame so that we see how it's looking like. So now here, great. So here are the other sleep hours, 9, the different ones. Then the empty spots are where the 6.9588424 is. We can do the same thing for another numeric column. So any column that we see that there's empty numbers, numeric. So let's say steady hours. So we'll come again. Let's create another cell down. So let's work on steady hours. So we come here, we make our code steady underscore hours. We bring our code, we bring our close bracket, so data frame, call the steady hours column again. So steady, so Python call steady hours column from the data frame. Let me bring my code, sorry. Call the steady hours data frame. And when you call the data frame, fill all the empty values. So fill any or fill na, or fill any is fill all the not available. So the not available values with the same column. Reference it again, steady hours. Dot. If it's mean I want to replace, fine. If it's median, I can choose people different. We have different techniques. Somebody can choose, oh, let's replace with a median there. And you do this. When you're done, we hit our data again. Then for the steady hours, you see that for those particular places where there's empty values, it replaces with the median. I hope we are all clear with where I've gotten so far. Please, if you have any questions, you are free to ask before I continue. Any questions? All right, so we continue. Did somebody have a question to ask? You can still ask. You can unmute and speak if you have any question.
Hello.
Yeah, hello, please. You can ask a
Hello.
question. Yeah, hello. We can hear you.
Hello, sir.
Yes, please. You can speak.
Hello, sir. Yeah,
You can
please.
be.
I came late. Can you make a recording for me?
Yes, it's being recorded. Don't worry.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. So that is it for the first part. Now we are going to look at another type of messy data. So this comes to the question Wanda asked. So sometimes the column, the data type of the column is not really resonating or not what you want to do. Now let's check, have an overview of our columns again. So data frame dot columns. Incoming. So data frame. So these are columns again. Now for our columns here, most of the times in industry, I made us understand that student ID, although it's a number, we don't use it for calculations. So we store it as like an integer or an object. We store it as an object, or a string, object or string. Because we don't use your student ID for any computations. We don't multiply students, we don't add student IDs. So in industry, we see it like a string because that's how it is. Now, another thing we do in industry is phone numbers. Now, phone numbers are numbers, right? But they are not meaningful numbers. They are not numbers we use for computation. They are not numbers we derive insights from. We don't find mobile numbers. We don't find average. Maybe for marketing reasons, we need it. But when it comes to the phone numbers, it's sometimes not relevant. So here, the normal numbers have been stored as floats, as decimals. I want to change them to strings or to object types. So we'll say the data frames column called phone. The function here is the as type. So changing the data type from where it is now to what is in the bracket is the new data type you want to change to. So the as type then in quotes. So string, when we hit str a string, so it means store it as a string because we don't use column for anything. Somebody too can choose to just drop that row, that column, sorry, because maybe for what they are doing now, they don't use the column for anything. So we just drop that column and they are gone. Now, so that's how it is. We run it again. So although it is decimals now, can you notice the difference? Although it is still decimal phone number, we are now seeing the phone number again, but now they are not normal numbers. They don't make meaning. They are just normal ints. So where is empty now? We just not available. Then the data goes like that. That's one thing. So when it comes to columns which have different data types or data types we don't want, we change it to the standard data size so that it makes our work easier. Now, there's the last aspect of the messy data. Sometimes some values are not standard. Realize that when we were going through the yep.
Yeah, sorry for interrupting. I just got a notification that I have 5 minutes more in the meeting. I don't know if you saw it. Will it end?
Coming. I think we can
alright.
still be on the. Let me see if I can extend it here.
Okay.
Let me see if I can send updates. All right. I think it should extend for us. So yeah, we continue. Now, the last type of messy data we have is standardized values. We want to standardize some values which are not standard. Now, what is standardization? we want to make it, in quotes, uniform. We want to compare them on the same platform. Now, when we check our data, we saw that, let me go back. What we saw that when it comes to the gender, you see we have female, male, F, other, F, and we have now values too there. So when it comes to those type of columns, what do? It's not uniform, and we want to transform it. We are seeing from here, when we did the descriptive, that there are 6 different gender types in the data set. And we know from our normal human instincts that we have only 2 gender. I mean, in our part of the world, we have 2 gender. Please, apologize for any bias or discrimination, but from our part of the world, we have 2 main gender types, which is female and male. So we are saying Python should replace anywhere they are seeing F, female, M with what? Male. Right? So anywhere there's female, there's F, make it female, and male, so that to coincide with the values here, which are already male and female, and everything is uniform. How do we do this? We are changing our original column. So we write to change the original column. So we call the data frame gender equals the gender column again, but this time replace. Now the replace, if you check, there's a dictionary, or there's a dictionary, Python dictionary inside, saying that where there's F and there's a colon, make it female, comma, where there's M, make it what? Male. Do you get it? So with that, anywhere there's F, it becomes female. Where there's M, I can extend to, I can bring a comma. I can say, because maybe our part of the world is only male and female, if you see other, Python, anywhere you see other, make it female. Maybe I want mine to be like that. Then anywhere you see, let's say anywhere there's a null value. Okay, for the null value, let's keep it. Or maybe I can say anywhere there's a null value, you can make it male or something. Now I've done the replacement. So the code has run 26. Now let's see the data frame again. Now you check from here. You see now male, female, male, female, male, and it's uniform. Meaning that at this point, for the gender column, we have made the data standard. We have replaced all the FM, FM. Here was F, other, we have replaced it so that our work is easier and we have standard columns. The same thing too for graduation. And the students graduate. It was a simple question, yes or no. People wrote Y, people wrote N, people wrote no, right? We standardize. So replace anywhere there is Y with yes, anywhere there is no with no, anywhere there is no which both of the NO are capitalized, make it only one capitalized N. And so we did this. Then we run the code again, and we come here, we see that, okay, so now for our graduation eligible column, we have yes, no. There's no Y, there's no N, it's just yes or no. We can see here small letters. So I can bring a comma here again and say, Python, I'm still seeing no, which is small letters. So if it is no small letters, make it N-O. One capital N, one N-O. Let's say that yes. Okay, for the yes, it's uniform now. So we run it again. Then we run the command again. So now you can see that for the column with are they eligible to graduate, it's just yes, no, which is uniform. Are we okay at this point? If you have any question, you can ask before we get to the final parts of our work today. Any question, feel free to ask. Anything bothering your mind, something I did you don't get, kindly let me know. All right. I think we don't have any final answer. But anytime you have any question, one I think Wanda is on mute. But if you have any question, kindly let us know. Now, we have done the data cleaning. In fact, we are done with the workshop. This is just some simple things. Let's get more insights in so that you can appreciate what we are doing better. Now, as data analysts or data professionals or data scientists, you are solving problems. And problems come with questions. Why or what, which, where. These are the how. So these are the questions business holders ask. So they want to find out which program has the highest average GPA. So now the data frame we group by program, GPA, find the average. So here we break it down. Average is what? Mean statistics. Now, sort values. Sort values means that arrange the values. We pass in a parameter, ascending equals false. It means that if ascending is false, it means what? Descending. Descending means that the highest GPA comes at the top. So now, see something. Program, mathematics. The highest average GPA here is what? 3.077. So since it's in descending order, all the 5 courses, the lowest average GPA is economics, and answering the question our business stakeholders asked. Which program has the highest average GPA? We can see that it is mathematics students, or the mathematics students who fill the form. So that's how it works. So what did we do? Highest average GPA. So first we group it in terms of program. Then the program, we want to compare GPA. So bring program by program, but we want to show GPA, the average of each GPA in terms of program, then make it descending order. So it means that sort is ascending, but for ascending, pass the false parameter. So ascending equals false means that make it descending rather. So we have answered the question. Now, on average, how do people sleep? Average sleep hours. How long do people sleep? So we run this. You see that we are grouping by level. So sleep hours. We want to find the mean or average. So it's your ability to change the business question to statistical terms, which help you as an analyst. So when we say average, what does it mean? Mean. So when we are doing it in terms of mean, how does it look like? Now we have seen the results here. Level 100, 6.99. So you are seeing that on average, the level 100s sleep less, and the 400 sleep most or spend more time sleeping. These days from my data, it's not to show. Okay, sorry, it's actually the level 300s. You have not sorted it well. Okay. So the level 300 sleep less, so 6.655, and the people who sleep more are the level 400s. I think this is true because level 300 is good. But arguably, you can't sleep. But 400, people say it's downward. So the 400 sleep more averagely, and our level 100s are second. I mean, they are fresh, so some of them still enjoy sleep. And our 200s, they are still seeing the system. Then our 400s sleep more according to our data. So we have answered the question, what's the average sleep hours by level? We are seeing it. Next question. Once you see the relationship between all the parameters and statisticians, we do a correlation matrix. Now, this is our correlation matrix. We want to see what is the relationship in terms of positivity. Yeah. So I'll just run through this quickly. So where the values are negative, it means that there's a weak relationship, possibly weak linear. So say that maybe as GPA is increasing, as people climb the academic ladder, as you're getting to level 400, your GPA is likely to reduce. So that's the negative 0.05. It's on a scale of -1 to 1. So 1 shows a strong correlation, -1 very weak. Maybe it's negative 0 point something, just a fairly moderate this. You might realize all the diagonals are 1, 1, 1, 1, 1 because it's the same columns. So the correlation matrix is row by column. So 8, 8, 1 is the same column. So positive relationship. But the different columns, different column combinations. So when I trace from sleep hours, let's say if I come here, sleep hours and study hours, 0.0123, it shows that it's a positive relationship. So we don't know the width of positivity, but we know it's a positive relationship. So as people are sleeping more, they are studying more, relatively, something we can see. Now, that is it. At this point, I'll rush through the visualizations, then we can close. Now, after I've answered these questions, people want to see charts, preferably. Now, Python has packages for all these charts. Matplotlib is the library we use. We combine it, or people also use SNS or Seaborn. So we call Matplotlib the visualization feature of Matplotlib, which is PyPlot as PLT. Then we combine Seaborn and Matplot to show our chart. So we want to see the GPA distribution. So we want to see GPA and how it's looking like. So frequency. So the number of students who have a 4.0 GPA, you see it. Then it goes up. So most of the students have a 3.0 GPA and are in the moderate level. It's a slightly normal distribution, which we can see the line over there. Then also we can watch GPA by program. So looking at GPA in terms of mathematics, what are they looking at in terms of the quartiles, upper quartiles? So we draw a box plot for it. And your ability to interpret this data for stakeholders is what makes you unique, because watching this, you can see the average GPA of math students. And anywhere you see the circle here, it means it's an outlier. It means for the computer science, there's somebody whose GPA doesn't make sense. So GPA is more than 4.0. I think it should be outlier we should have removed. Then it goes on and it goes forth. When you're done, you may want to save your data set. Then you have your clean data saved. You can try these questions. I'll send the data sets, the Jupyter Notebook to our chat, our WhatsApp group. So you can try answering these questions to their bonus materials. Yeah, so you can try answering them to practice and see how good, or just build upon your Python skills. So for here, we're finding students with low attendance, those who don't come to class. So those who don't, their attendance rate is less than 70%. So you see their name, their GPA from 3.4 to as low as 2.56. Then we want to see how the relationship between people who like sleeping, or the sleep hours, and GPA. Is it that when you sleep more, your GPA will come down, or what? So we see it from here. It's not really one of our best relationships when it comes to scatter plots. This is a no relationship. We are seeing that for each hours of sleep, we are having quite varying GPAs. So people who are sleeping less, it doesn't mean their GPA is high. Even people who are sleeping more, some of them have relatively higher GPAs. So that is it. For you to practice, I've added some resources you can check up to sharpen your Python skills, improve upon how Jupyter Notebook works. And also, I would like to emphasize there's a website called Data Wars. It has mock data sets and data problems you can practice to improve upon your data skills. Other resources are here to help us. At this point, if you have any question, you can let me know, but I can say this is the end of the workshop for now, or the webinar for now. So if you have any question, you can let me know. Any questions? Feel free to ask. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. And Mr. Vice President, please, you can take the floor now. One that is speaking, we can't hear you.
Yeah, Elvis, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now. So.
Okay. So thank you very much for the session tonight. I believe it's been helpful. Personally, I've been able to revise a few things. So the data scientist nuggets program continues throughout this week too. We'll still engage you on a lot of things. At the point where we are now is more of practice and hands-on stuff. So I just want to encourage everybody that at least by the end of the month, you should be able to do something, right? And the programming, so you need to also know the Python programming itself, because some of the things, I believe Elvis didn't speak about programming. It is more of applying the Python programming to the data science, so the data manipulation and all those things, you need to be able to understand the Python programming itself. So we've been sending some videos to the page, like 1 hour video, which gives you like what you need to know to do some of these things. It's on the platform. You can also be watching those things. Aside that, I've been saying that you are limitless. There are lots of resources online that you can use to learn this Python programming. If you set for like a whole day, I believe by the end of the day, you should be able to create your own maybe games or even mathematical equations and all those things just to solve like basic problems and stuff like that, right? So let's keep learning, let's keep building. I hope to see you all next week too. All right, thank you.
All right, so that's it. Mr. Wonder will share. Someone, if you have any question, kindly you can speak.
Okay. Thank you for the opportunity, sir. This is my first time joining, but I'm asking how I want to join the WhatsApp platform. So the access to join the platform. So I'm asking, please.
All right. I think Wanda will handle that. Wanda, he said the WhatsApp platform. I don't.
Let me just mention my number to you. Text me. So anybody who has the same problem should just text me right now, and then I'll add you on. So the number is 0244 38 7424. I'll take it again. 0244 38 7424. So when you text me, kindly go straight to the point that I should add you to the page, and then I'll add you on. So I think that'll be all. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Yes. Yeah. So please, any other questions before we conclude? All right. I think that's all for today. Please, would share the Jupyter Notebooks. I think Wanda has it. Share it with you for you to practice. We share what again? The data already has been shared, but those who don't have it, we'll share it with you again. On this note, session, thank you so much, and do also session next week. Have a great evening. Happy Palm Sunday to our people. If you are not Christian, happy Sunday. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Bye. Pressy, do you have any final words, or that's all?
Oh, that's all. And if there's any confusion, to always be interactive on the platform. I've opened the page, so you can always communicate there. If you are too shy, you can always reach out to any of the admins who will be willing to help you out. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much, Pressy. Please have a great evening. Bye.
And also, there's going to be an end of month project for everybody. So let's all be looking forward to that. At the right time, possibly this week, we will announce what you are expected to do. So let's take note of that one too. But I'll communicate it officially on the page. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. Have a great evening, everyone.
You too.